Howdy folks, I'm Dan Gross, and welcome to this brand new episode of the Rochester Indie Musician Spotlight Series. This season we'll be filming in this warm, local, and creative space, Bop Shop Records. For those who don't know, Bop Shop Records is your Rochester home for jazz, blues, Americana, and classic rock in vinyl for the past 35 years. Joining me today is Mulberry Soul, a six-piece Americana and new grass band, and is actually the second Americana band to join us this season, so it's actually pretty cool that we get to interview both you guys and get a sense of what the scene is like here in Rochester. These musicians always look to get you off your feet and succeed almost all the time. No, they do succeed all the time. And always have a nice soulful touch to their originals as well. Making up the band is Gabe Schliffer on on banjo, violin, cello, and vocals. Scott Kalpin on mandolin. Cordelia Makinoff on banjo. Chris Makinoff on guitar. Aaron Oldweiler on bass. And Dominic Marini on drums. And as you heard, he sings a little bit too. Their debut album, Mulberry Soul, is on Bandcamp and others, and we put the link in the description for you so you can check that out pretty easily. And they're playing at Abliene on November 23rd for a Thanksgiving throwdown, and they're joined by the group Upstate Rubdown. Mulberry Soul, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Mulberry Soul. So, doing a little bit of research on you guys, you've been a group for almost 4 years now. So that's a long time for a group to be together. So, how did it start out, and how did it evolve since then?
Well, we've been playing as Mulberry Soul for almost 4 years, but some of us have been hanging out and playing together for decades, actually.
Wow.
So we were living down at the Folk Art Guild, crafts and organic farming community down in Middlesex, New York, and at the end of the workday, had campfires, bonfires, and it was really Gabe that spearheaded the jamming.
Spearheaded the jamming, okay.
Yeah, and that kind of just evolved. We started booking a few casual gigs here and there, and yeah, here we are today.
So the original two, was it just you two then who were jamming?
No.
Who else was with you?
We had it was started as the East Hill Ramblers, which was everyone and their mother. Had a spoon or a pot or a pan or whatever they wanted. We had some backup dancers. And a couple fell off the stage. At one time, it was kind of like the 23 stages. We had but
very less talented.
Bring your talents, bring your people.
Very little talent and almost no organization.
So then Scott showed up, and Scott was a little more serious. He'd been living in Nashville, and so he kind of got us on track. And it was like, all right, we're gonna make a rule that anyone who wants to stay in the band has to come to practice.
That's
very few people showed up to practice.
Yeah, the next practice it was like 4 people, I think.
Just like us 4.
Yeah.
So.
And at one point we built a washtub bass, and that was kind of like a big deal, big upgrade.
Aaron's like, why wasn't I there?
I wasn't there yet.
Well, and then Aaron grew up with me and Gabe at the Folk Art Guild, and he moved back in like 2010-ish?
No, I think it was like 2012.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, yeah.
So then we got a real bass player, not just the wash tub.
But yeah, I played electric bass for the first 3 years. So
yeah. So that
upright's pretty new addition.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So.
Yeah, we kind of hit like a wall where this isn't sounding.
Doesn't sound right. What are we missing?
And then Aaron got the upright bass, and we.
Yeah.
Had a new passion for it.
We got booked at Carnegie Hall the next week.
So how do you get to Carnegie Hall? You walk. Or then you bring practice or you walk. So it started off as this jam band. I like how I said that everyone and their mother was just coming in with whatever they had. But you weren't happy with it. So, and you said kind of the upright bass sound was one of the things that kind of took you into the present sound you had. So what was the process trying to find a sound that you liked? I mean, what was kind of going in between that time where you settled on the sound that you have now?
Well, part of that is that Aaron is not a traditional bluegrass or old-time bass player. As he said, he started with electric bass. So just starting off with that, it kind of precluded us from being a traditional straight-ahead bluegrass old-time band. I also play clawhammer banjo, not 3 fingers, so that kind of cuts out bluegrass as well.
Yeah.
And then you guys both have a secret, or maybe not so secret, for house and techno. So I think those kind of things melding together kind of has taken us on a journey into where we've gone over the last few years.
I was actually we'll get to how you hold your instruments in a little bit. You knew it was coming, man.
Have to do that.
No, we do. Sorry. But Cordelia, you said you play the clawhammer banjo, so obviously not every bluegrass sound is available to you. I mean, you physically can't. It's not. Yeah. Maybe it's just the element of the style.
Yeah.
So knowing that you may not have as much of the huge traditional bass that bluegrass has, and there's an innumerable amount of songs and different styles of bluegrass you can draw on. So when you're first writing originals and you're doing your own thing, how did that all come together? You had to draw from different influences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So who are your songwriters? I mean, how do you bring it into rehearsal?
Gabe is our primary songwriter, and then
a lot of help from Scott.
Yeah.
Just bounce ideas off each other, just jam, and then like that sounds good. Let's put that in a song.
Right. Yeah. And this is happening at rehearsal. You guys kind of workshop stuff before.
Or I'll just pick up a little melody and then play it with Scott and Aaron, and then just kind of start writing some lyrics.
Yeah.
I think we've had some really good, just really organic jam sessions that I think a lot. That's where I get the most enjoyment out of being in this, when just kind of all comes together and just something sounds just really, really good, and it just sounds right, and the energy is all flowing.
Yeah.
And I think we do well in those instances for sure.
And some of this, I've been talking about this more the longer I do the show, but you guys do have that Rochester sound. And you do. And I'm still trying to nail down what that means, but I think a lot of it comes from what you do. It sounds arranged. It doesn't just sound like you're getting up there and you're just jamming over some simple stuff, or you're seeing what happens. This what you guys do, and what a lot of bands in our region do, is they find something that works and they really refine it. So even though you said you jam and you come up with different ideas, do you spend like a ton of time just rehearsing one lick and making sure that that's right?
No.
Until I get it right. These guys can, play whatever, but I rehearse stuff, Yeah.
I guess sometimes, you play around, you play different things, and you find that one thing that works at one time, and then you just try to remember that. You do it every time.
Right.
Yeah. We definitely take it from the jam and then arrange it, and then try to leave space for that creative exploration. Even during shows, we like to, have this much time for these guys to go crazy. So
you kind of built in more improvisational sections as well. Yeah. That's something I know. So we usually do the interview first and then tape the music, but I'm sort of glad we taped the music first this time, because I took a second and wrote it down. Compared to other Americana bands, you guys do take a good amount of emphasis on the instruments. It's not always all vocal driven all the time. You have extended sections where someone has a solo, or you just kind of jam in the groove and see what comes out there. So you pre-plan that then. You know that this is what you do.
Yeah. For the most part.
At this part, we'll jam till we feel like we're done.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back to the structure.
Yeah. Right.
But there definitely is. I mean, a composed kind of structure with hits and, making sure everyone's kind of on board with that and keeping it together.
So I do want to, I want to pick up on this when we talk about recording your album as well. But Gabe, you play your instruments in a very unusual fashion. Could you tell us about it?
So I started playing cello when I was 4, and my parents, helped me get a start. I went to Hochstein for a little bit, and played classical cello until I was in college. And at college, my bow was stolen, and my bridge fell down. My sound post fell out of this cello.
Wow. So then was that a sign or what?
I was like, dang, shoot, what am I going to do? What am I going to play? So because we were always jamming, I was always jamming, and my roommate had just a fiddle that was laying around that he never played. So I was like, hey, can I try out the fiddle? And I tried to play it up here like this, and then it sounded terrible. So I tried. I was like, maybe I play it like this. I don't even know if it was my idea. Maybe somebody else suggested it, but then I just realized that my bow. I mean, in Egypt and in the Middle East, they play it like that as well. They play this is actually more of a traditional style for these kind of instruments. So it just seems super natural. And then then I went on a road trip with Aaron and a couple of...
Yeah, I was going to say, it is a little supernatural.
I went on a road trip with Aaron, and then I wanted to figure out a way I could hold it while I was standing and singing, so then probably Aaron suggested making a strap for it, because he's always inventing new things. Yeah. And then I started playing it like that, and it was great. A whole new world kind of opened up, because there's so much music written for fiddle, and traditional fiddle music is, there's thousands and thousands of tunes out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling us in. And you knew it was coming. I'm sure you did, coming in here. So, picking back where we left off with the album and going between the sort of semi-arranged stuff, like you try something, you just try to replicate it, or you'll leave the instrumental sections open. So your album came out recently, this past May. So what was the process like recording that, deciding what to keep, how to go about playing it, and everything? What was recording that like?
It was a pretty intense process. I think we recorded all at the same time, and it was a lot of energy went into it. And by the end of the day, it was your brain was kind of fried.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all kind of recorded at the same time in one room. And yeah, I think we got a lot accomplished for what we were trying to do.
And these are all originals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's not the whole catalog of your stuff. So how did you decide what to pick?
We made a long list.
Yeah.
A very long list.
We made some demos at home too, like work out the structures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the point. There was a shift from playing, a little bit more amorphously, and then when we were about to record, we were like, all right, we gotta do it the same way,
right.
For multiple takes and stuff like that. So we wrote out structures and
everybody had their lyric sheets, and we practiced and did demos, and finally we did a little voting, and then we came up with the order, and it took us from when we decided, okay, we want to make an album together as Mulberry Soul. It took us like 3 years. We've been telling people that we were going to have a CD coming out soon.
I was going to say, Cornelius, like, please, God, don't say that.
Coming spring 2012.
Yeah, we kept moving like the date up. So then actually the actual recording, once we got the date set, we only spent 3 days in the studio. And
wow.
That was like, then it was just a couple months planning, and then it was out.
We recorded with Dave Drago at 1809 Studios, and he helped a lot.
Go Dave.
Dave.
Hi, Dave. He's, worked with a lot of our local musician friends, and we went and visited and loved his space and his energy, and he really helped keep us on track.
Well, it is a great final, self-titled as well, is a great final product, absolutely worth the wait. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. This is Mulberry Soul. You can check them out at Abliene. They're playing with Upstate Rubdown for what they call Thanksgiving Throwdown. That's November 23rd. We'll have the link for that as well. And you can find their album, Mulberry Soul, came out this past May. We'll have the link for their Bandcamp as well, but you can stream it on Spotify, and there's other ways you can check out as well. I'm Dan Gross. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Rochester Indie Musician Spotlight Series. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Suzanna, don't you tell me, don't tell me no more lies. I thought you were my darling, I thought you were so fine. I thought when I kissed you that you would be mine. Suzanna in your valley, Suzanna going high, Suzanna on the hillside running for all night. Took me up right there, war. Never for to see you were heroes no more. I wish I had the time, with peace of mind, to tell that I'm sorry, Suzanna, don't you cry. Suzanna, valley, Suzanna, I'm going high, Suzanna on the hillside, running for a ride. Flowers, I should have worked 2 jobs just to keep you safe from that weird preacher's night. Someday you'll find me sitting in a big armchair, coming across that hillside with flowers in your hair. Suzanna in the valley, Suzanna up on high, Suzanna on the hillside, running for a ride. Give thanks to the beautiful world in which we live.